Hello, everyone, and welcome to cpaacademy.org. My name is Christine, and I'm going to be your moderator for today's webinar on onboarding clients with excellence, sponsored by Liscio. We are so glad you have taken time out of your day to spend with us for the next hour. Before we get started, I want to make sure you can see and hear everything okay. So let's do a quick check by heading over to your questions box. You can find that on your GoToWebinar side panel, and just type me a quick message to let me know that you can hear my voice and you see the title slide of the presentation on your screen right now. And while you're there, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from today. Give your city a little shout out. I'm going to shout out for Chicago here. Ooh, I see Baltimore. Hello. Denver, fantastic. Hello from Michigan. Vegas. All right. Thank you, everybody. Loud and clear, Patricia. Hello from Florida. All right. Jathia, thank you so much. San Diego, Illinois. Hey, Chicago neighbor. Now you guys are flooding in. Thank you so much. All right, I'm scrolling through here. Wisconsin, Tennessee, Missouri, Virginia, Cortland. All right. Looks like you guys are good to go, but if you are experiencing any technical trouble today, please let me know in that questions panel and I will come by to help you out. This is really where you're going to put all of your questions and comments that may come up for Katie during the webinar. Now that we are all set with the visuals and sound check and you know where to put all of your questions, let's go over some housekeeping for credits. Today's session is going to qualify for 1 CPE credit. In order to earn the full credit today, you must stay logged in for at least 50 minutes of our allotted time and answer the poll questions. We will be launching 4 polls total throughout the presentation, and each time a poll is launched, you will see a poll box take place of where you currently see the presentation slides, and you should be able to select your answer and submit your vote. To earn full credit, you will need to answer at least 3 out of the 4 polls. So going over that one more time, you must stay logged in for 50 minutes of our allotted time and answer at least 3 out of the 4 polls to get that full credit today. Once the webinar is over, we're going to make sure to process your CPE credit, and that will be in your CPA Academy accounts within 24 hours. And for handouts today, you can find those on your GoToWebinar side panel under the handouts box. All right, that's it from me for now. Let's give a warm welcome to today's presenter, Katie Maddox with Millennial Accounting. Welcome, Katie. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Christine. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to see you. I'm going to turn my webcam on so you can put a face to the name. Welcome to Onboarding 2.0. My name is Katie Maddox. I'm the founder and CEO of Millennial Accounting. I'm so excited to be here with you today with Liscio. We're going to be talking about creating processes for onboarding. Like Christine said, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the questions panel. I'll try to check out some of your questions as we go, and I can always respond to them later, or feel free to shoot me an email or connect on any of my social platforms, email, anything. You have all of my contact information at the end of your presentation. Look forward to seeing you later, and I'm going to pop off my webcam and start the presentation. Somebody said they can't hear me. Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you, Katie.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. So today's presentation, best practices for a great client experience from the first touch and beyond. So our course objectives. Today we are going to identify where the holes are in your current onboarding process with an eye for improving them, uncover some sustainable practice to streamline your onboarding processes and set the right tone and expectations with clients, and learn key strategies to delight clients on an ongoing basis while maintaining efficiency and control in your practice. Onboarding really sets the tone for the relationship and the expectations moving forward, so it's critical that we get it right. I know many practitioners rely on email and multiple documents and meetings, and this can have mixed results. So today, we're going to learn some tried and true best practices for creating a great experience for the client and for you, beginning with the first touch and carrying that through the entire relationship. Today's webinar is sponsored by Liscio. Liscio is a modern, secure, invitation-only solution. Basically, this helps your clients be able to communicate with you in one place, all the document storing, e-sigs. You can create tasks for them on the app, as you see here in the photo. I'm really excited to partner with Liscio's marketing campaign this year, the year of the clients. I personally use Liscio. I absolutely love it. My clients love it. It's easy for them. It's easy for me. And you'll hear a little bit more about them and what they do at the end of the presentation. A little bit about me. My name is Katie Maddox. Like I said, I am from West Bloomfield, Michigan, but currently residing in Miami, Florida. I'm the founder and CEO of Millennial Accounting, which I'm a certified QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor. I love teaching classes in addition to teaching for CPA Academy. I teach for the Miami Association of Realtors, and I'm also a rape survivor, and I speak to women on how to find purpose in their pain and turn their trauma into triumph at different churches and women's retreats and women's events. And when I'm not working, I'm an avid traveler. I've been to 15 countries, 50, not 15, and I'm a Zumba instructor and dance teacher. On the right are my social handles and any way to contact me. Feel free to reach out on anytime on personal, on business. I would love to get to know all of you. Okay, our outline, what are we going to talk about today? So we're going to first start with why. What's the importance of onboarding? What does your current process look like? What's a new solution for you? This is going to be the meat of today's presentation. What are some onboarding best practices and your client experience and why it matters so much? Polling question number 1, if you could load that for us, Christine. My current situation is best described as.
All right, that first poll question has been launched. So you should see that popping up on your screen where you saw the presentation slides, and we're going to keep this open for about a minute.
And if you put other, feel free to drop it in the chat. Inquiring minds want to know. And as we have the polling questions, like I said, I'll be trying to keep an eye on my questions panel over here. So feel free to drop in your questions. And as you guys are answering those, then Christine, when you're done, if you could share the polling questions for us, the results.
Absolutely. On that note, we got 60% of you voted in, and we are about 20 seconds out. So if you are hearing my voice, make sure you submit your vote, because we're going to close the first poll question down in about 10 seconds.
Looks like 30% of you are self-employed so far and we're working from home pre-COVID. I love to hear that. I love to meet my fellow self-employed solopreneurs or lots of preneurs. Some people
All
in the
right, and I'm going to
go ahead.
Poll question 1 down in 3, 2, and 1. And Katie, let me share the results with you.
Thank you. 30% of you self-employed and was working from home pre-COVID. Company allowed me to work from home. So we got a pretty good spread here. Like I said, if you put other, feel free to drop it in the chat so we know. And we're going to move on to our first section. Start with why, the importance of onboarding. So when we say start with why, let's start with the client. First impressions trigger feelings. The first impression you make with a client is an essential key to building trust. Remember, they are calling someone they don't know, maybe someone they've never met, and putting all of their financial data in your hands. They're sometimes nervous, or they're skeptical, they're not sure if they're doing the right thing or if it's worth the expense. And most of the time, by the time they're calling you, they've probably exhausted all their resources to try to do it themselves. And either they're frustrated with themselves, they're frustrated with the situation, or they're frustrated with their current practitioner. So at this point, your job is to put the client at ease, right? So by showing them that there is a process in place, we show them that, yes, we have done this before. 2, we know what we're doing. 3, we know how to solve their problem. And no, we're not just making it up as we go. I think as practitioners, we're really good at what we do. We can do bank recs in our sleep. We know our clients' habits better than they do. But when it comes to organization or client relations, it can be difficult to know if our way is the best way if we don't have anything to compare it to. So what we do know is that trust is critical in our line of work. And how do we build trust? We can build trust and we can build our clients confident in our abilities before ever touching their books by having proper onboarding. Proper onboarding sets the tone for the relationship from day 1, and it makes them feel like you have a plan because you do. Secondly, start with why it's the practitioner. It's about you too. Though it's great that onboarding is a game changer for client experience, the client isn't the only one who benefits. Having systems in place allows us to save our brain power for other tasks. And like any other daily task, when we have a consistent workflow, it allows our brain to revert into autopilot. So that helps us create speed, it helps us create efficiency, it makes it easier for us to delegate. Who wants an assistant that does all of the day-to-day tasks for them? Or even to make it easy for us to automate. It creates a more peaceful process, it creates a more peaceful office. Additionally, teaching your client the way you do things from the beginning is crucial to the ease of implementation. So how many of you have ever tried to teach a client later after they've already created their habits, after they've already been in kind of a sync with you, and you try to change the game later? And it's so much easier just to get them started off on the right foot. And we know that as technology changes and as we implement and we improve, we're going to be changing the process. Like that's inevitable, right? Change is going to happen. But if we could create a process that's already set in place when we start working with the client, how much easier will it be to get them to understand our culture? So for me, at least, creating an onboarding process not only boosted my confidence, like boosted the client's confidence in me, but it boosted my confidence in myself when I was speaking to new clients. I remember when my business was still young in my like first, second, even third year, I'd get nervous during consultations or pricing calls, not sure if I was going to sell a client or what I could do to make them trust me. But now I know my system and I know it well and I know that it's successful. So consultations and pricing conversations, they're no longer stressful for me because I not only know the value that I bring, but I've done it so many times that there's no fear. It's just another day doing the same thing, having the same conversation. So having an onboarding process sets really the tone. Something my dad always told me about business when I was growing up was to set the expectations. People are not bothered when something takes 2 weeks. They're bothered when you told them it would take 1 week and it actually takes two. So having a process makes it a predictable situation so that you can set the right expectation. Everybody has a peaceful experience. Section number 2, what is your current process? Christine, if you could load our second polling question, please.
You got it. That second poll question is up.
Perfect, thank you. And I see that some people were saying they run bookkeeping and payroll firms, sole tax practice, the year of the staff. That's funny. And it looks like so far we have 44% of you have a process-ish. I love that. I think it's really important that we think about things, right? That we not just like have a process-ish, although that is a good place to start. Having process-ish is definitely ahead of having no process whatsoever. But how can we turn that process-ish into a process that's duplicatable, right? Because if we do the same thing over and over, it takes the fear out of it, it takes the anxiety out of it, and then you can give it to an assistant. Even better.
All right, I've closed poll question number 2 down and I will share the results with you, Katie. And it is up on the screen.
Thanks so much. So we're still at about 40% process-ish. 20% of you have a well thought out, consistent process. 11 automation. High five to the 31% of you in that top bracket. Moving on. Oops. So let's define onboarding. What is onboarding? Maybe you're sitting there being like, okay, what does she mean by onboarding? So I'm talking about the process that takes someone from somebody who says, I'm interested in your service, to being an actual paid client. So when I'm saying, do you have onboarding? Do you have a process for this? Onboarding integrates the client with your process, your systems, and your culture. So it's really setting the expectation and giving them an overview of what is going to be necessary for you guys to have the best relationship possible, and do you have what you need when it comes to documentation. So I want you to take a few seconds and think about your current onboarding process. Do you have one? First of all, is it documented? Is it efficient? Is it duplicatable? And how stressful is it? What slows it down? What's the most frustrating part? And what is it like for the client? Is it creating more stress for them or less? Because the goal, remember, we want to put them at ease. So is our onboarding process helping to put the client at ease? And then I want you to set an intention for the presentation. So note down some of the things that you just said, either in your notes on your phone or on your computer or just on a piece of paper. And I want you to think about, like, what's one goal or one aspect that you'd like to improve from your current process that as we go through the webinar, you can be thinking about, because it can be hard to implement an entirely new strategy, especially during tax season. But if you could just implement one thing, or you could improve one piece of your process, that would get the ball rolling. So I want you to watch the presentation through the eyes of that one thing that you're going to focus on to improve. And now we're into really the bulk of the presentation, the new solution. And polling question number 3 says, when it comes to setting expectations.
All right, and we have launched the third polling question, so that is up on everybody's screen, and we'll keep this open for about a minute.
Perfect. Okay, I was saying in the poll, we're at about 50% always discuss communications and expectations. That's great. I'm so happy to see that. When I first was looking at onboarding, like I had the discussion, but it was still a discussion-ish.
All right, and we have just closed poll question 3. Let me share the results here, and it is up on the screen.
Perfect. 50% of you always discuss, have them in my head, and never thought about it in other. Again, if it's other, feel free to drop it in the chat. We're going to keep moving. So here's, like I said, this is really the bulk of the presentation, and this is the 5-step process. And I did not create this completely myself. I actually got this idea from Brittany Brown at a QuickBooks Connect. I don't even remember what year it was. It was a few years back. And I have tested and changed and tweaked until I made the process work for me. So this is the process that I use. And I encourage you to do the same. You know, businesses are always evolving. So take what you hear and try it out, and maybe step 4 doesn't work for you, but step 3 is perfect, and then you tweak step 4 and then it's perfect for you. So again, this isn't a Bible, right? This is just what I use that I think could really help you, and then test out the different pieces and see which one really works for you. And I give them this list, this 5-step process in the consultation call. I explain to them, this is what's going to happen next. In the next few slides, I'm going to walk you through each one of these steps and what it looks like and what I do and how we kind of get there. So the consultation, and the consultation doesn't begin when we're on the phone having our first call. The process of the consultation begins with the first client interaction. When the potential client first contacts you, I usually get a message like, "Hi Katie, I found you on the QuickBooks Pro Advisor page," or "Hi Katie, I was recommended to you by so-and-so," or I get a lot of messages actually sliding up in my Instagrams. "Hi Katie, I saw you on Instagram. I was hoping you could help me with my books," and like that's all they say, right? And I'm like, okay, and they're like, "So what's the price?" And you're like, "Well, that's not exactly how it works." So I kind of go into autopilot when I first get that note from them. I respond with 5 simple questions, and once they've responded, then I send them a link to my calendar so they can schedule the consultation call when it works for them. They already have my availability because they have my Calendly link, and having a system in place allows me to respond quickly without having to do much thinking. So in that pre-consultation email, the email says something like, "Thank you for reaching out to Millennial Accounting. I look forward to getting to know you and your business. To get started, if you could please answer a few questions to help me better understand your needs. Then we can set up a call to discuss if we're a good fit." And I ask them things like, what industry are you in? What system are you using? Are your books up to date? Super simple, but just to give me a gauge of kind of where they are before the consultation call, and also their business name so that I can Google them before the consultation call and see what they do and see how organized they are. So next, I give them a free 30-minute consultation call. And in this call, I first ask them to tell me about their business, and then I just let them talk. I'll probe with a few questions here and there, but really I want them to feel like someone is listening to them, because I often find that clients come to me because their CPA or whoever they're working with isn't listening to them, or they don't have good communication. So I want to show from the beginning, we have good communication, I listen to you. Then when they're done asking, I ask them what services they're looking for and a little bit more details about the questions they answered in the email. For example, if they said they're in retail, my next question might be, okay, are you brick and mortar or are you online? Since my niche is retail, that's a normal question for me to ask. And then I explain how my business works. I say first there's a consultation, which is free. That's the call that we're currently on. Then there will be an interview, assessment, and proposal, and finally the signing of engagement. I charge a flat fee for the interview, assessment, and proposal process and require that it is paid in advance. And then they can take the proposal with them and take it to somebody else if for whatever reason they decide not to work with me, but I do charge for it and then I give them a deliverable when I'm done. And I'll speak more to that on the next slide. And so I explain the process, and then when we're all done, I send them an email recapping what our conversation was, and if they said, yes, I want to move forward, I send them an invoice so we can go on to the next step. One of the things you want to make sure to do in the consultation call is give them and set an expectation. Tell them, approximately how long is the onboarding going to take? Is this like going to happen in the next day or so? A lot of times for me, when I get these emails, I say, okay, normally for me, this process takes about a week, but I'm booked this week, so that week will start next Monday or whatever it is, because they're pretty okay with whatever I tell them as long as I set the expectation and then I stick to whatever it is that I said. So the interview assessment and proposal is the next section, and I bill for this for multiple reasons. First, it's time consuming. Second of all, it weeds out the cheap clients that just want to do the cheapest price. I'm never competing on price. So if that's what they're looking for, I'm not the person for them. My billing for this is based on client size. I have two different fees that I bill based on how big they are. And then I also let them know that I'm not going to be touching their books in the interview assessment proposal. I'm going to be assessing their books and learning about their business. Because it doesn't come with an engagement letter before the interview assessment and proposal, I don't actually do anything in their books. The interview. So once their invoice is paid, I'll set them up in Liscio, and then we start the process of the actual interview assessment and proposal. So when I set them up in Liscio, I create tasks for them, which sends push notifications to the phone that says, okay, these are the next things that I'm going to need. I need an invite to your QuickBooks file. Here in Liscio, you can upload all the documents. Please upload last year's taxes and put your bank logins into Liscio so that you're not texting them and emailing to me for the purpose of security, right? And then I review their QuickBooks or all the documents they've given me. And once I've kind of taken a look at what they've given me, I say, okay, I'm ready now for the interview call. I'm going to set up a task for them. I'm going to drop my Calendly link in that task, and they can schedule the interview when they are ready. So the interview typically takes about an hour, but I don't limit it on time. At the beginning of the call, again, I'm going to set the expectation. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to have some questions for you. If you could just tell me about your business. The part that I don't tell them is that actually in front of me, I have what I call the new client questionnaire. And it's a list of it's about 100 questions, honestly, that I want to get out of them because I want to get all the skeletons out of their closet. And I don't always need to ask all 100 of them. So like, for example, 10 of them might be on payroll. Well, if they don't have payroll or they're a solopreneur, we would nix that whole section, or maybe they've already answered some of them. But really, these questions just jog my brain of what it is that I need to ask them so I don't forget and so that we're not missing anything and finding it later, right, when it's then outside the scope and then nobody's happy. So I don't want to tell them that I have a questionnaire in front of me. I just want to make it a casual conversation. So I'm going to ask things like, how does money come into your business? Tell me about that. Okay, great. How does money go out of the business? Tell me about that. What's your typical, record keeping process? You want it to make it like a calm, casual conversation because they're a lot of times stressed, right? We don't want them to be stressed. We want them to just casually just talk to me. What do you do? And a lot of people I find, my business owners, they're like shameful about their practices. They're in shame about their habits. I'm like, you know what? It's okay. That's why you're here. That's my job is to put you at ease. My job is to show you the way. The fact that you're here, like you've already taken the first step. High five for you. Like you're way ahead of a lot of people who didn't even take the step to call the accountant or the bookkeeper. So don't be ashamed about your processes. We're here to fix them. So just talk to me. Tell me what you do, and then we'll walk through. What are some better ways to do it? And then also, since I've seen their QuickBooks or I've seen their files, I'm going to say, okay, I saw that you have $100,000 sitting in undeposited funds. why don't you talk to me about what happens when you receive a check? Or I saw this, why don't you tell me about what the process is for this? So that I'm not being like, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, right? I want to know, how did we get here? So having them, ask those questions, and then at the end of the conversation of the interview, I'm also going to drop in the communication conversation, which is saying like, so my typical response time is 3 to 5 business days. We communicate through Liscio. When I want to request something from you, I'll put it in Liscio. When you need me, feel free to send me a message through Liscio. That's the best way that we can communicate, and kind of set the expectation for communications. And while they're talking, I'm taking notes in Liscio so that my assistants can then log into Liscio and see what we talked about. So they don't have to be sitting on the call with me, and I don't have to be sending them documents later. This is what the client said. It just has it all in one place. And this is how we're going to communicate. I set up that communication, that expectation at the very beginning. And then we have the assessment. So the assessment is where I'm doing the analysis. The assessment includes me comparing what they told me to what I see in their books, right? Because we know our clients, they like to tell us one thing and then we go in and we're like, that's not what's happening here. So I'm going to create a plan to fix it, or what my process is going to look like by comparing what they're telling me and what I'm seeing in their books. So I'm going to also dig in at this point to any other systems that they're using. For example, last year I took on a new client who was using 17 Hats, which I had never used that system before. So I wanted to dig into it. I had no idea what a disaster that was. I probably would have billed her double what I billed her had I known the disaster that her 17 Hats QuickBooks connection had created. But when you're seeing that's a question to always ask them in your NCQ. What other systems do you use? What's your pay? They'll be like, oh, I don't use any. And I'll be like, okay, you're in retail. So who processes your payments? Oh, Square and Shopify. Okay, so when I asked about they had other systems, they said no. But in actuality, they're also using Square and Shopify. We need to know that. It's a bank reconciliation. You know what I mean? Like, those are questions we want to make sure we're having in the NCQ. And so then you want to know, okay, if this is a system I'm not familiar with, what's that learning curve going to add to the time and cost of the engagement? And do I even want to take it on? Sometimes I've literally told clients, yeah, I could do it, but I think this person might be better. And I've literally sent them to other accountant friends of mine because I don't want to learn the system that they're in. I don't want to learn Xero. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't want to spend my time learning it. So those are the things. They're interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. You want to know, is this somebody that you want to work with? And you really get to learn that through the interview assessment and proposal stage. You kind of get a feel for how they work and what they do. And then I create tasks for them. So after I've done all the analysis and I've looked at all their stuff, I create the assessment, and then I create the proposal. So I'm going to create 2 to 3 pricing packages, and then I'll present that to them in the proposal section. And I recommend creating what I call the master document that just shows everything that you do. And then when you're creating the proposal, you can just delete out lines or delete out things that they don't need, so that you're not recreating the wheel every time, and you just have this master document stored. And then when I'm all ready to do the proposal, I create a task for them in Liscio called Book Your Proposal. I put in my Calendly link to the proposal call specifically, and I want to let them know, I want to set the expectation before the call. Please plan to make a decision on the call. And 9 times out of 10, when I tell them that ahead of time, then on the call, they are able to choose a package and we can move forward. If I don't tell them that before the call, a lot of times they aren't expecting to have to make that decision on the call, and it doesn't go well. So as long as the expectation has been set, it seems to be 90% successful. And also it lets them know, okay, if you need to talk to your boss or talk to your friend or talk to your partner, they should be on the call too. This is going to be a decision-making call. So put that in the task, or let them know that ahead of time. And then next we have the proposal. So this is step 4. We're going to walk through the document listing out everything that you do on the proposal call. So after your assessment is complete and you have your 2 to 3 pricing packages, you have that call, you walk them through everything that you do, you add the communication conversation to the call, and maybe on your master pricing document, you have a section called priority communication. And maybe that's a package for people who want your undivided attention or the ability to call you 24/7. That was one of the things I learned from Brittany Brown was, if people want to have your attention 24/7, give it to them. If you want to, just upcharge them for it. There's no reason why they're paying the same as the person who's only allowed to call you 8 to 5 Monday to Friday. So make the decisions that works for you and then upcharge for things that you want to do. And sometimes they might not ever use it. They just want the peace of mind that they can have it. You know what I mean? So feel free to kind of do your pricing document with extra packages or upgraded packages for things that you know your clients want. And then once you've walked them through all three of your packages, shown them your price, and you ask them, now which package works best for you at this time? I like to remind my clients that this is not a contract and that they can change it at any time. I've never actually had a client downgrade. I have had clients upgrade, but letting them know that this is not like a contract that's set in stone for the next 2 years or whatever, I find that it makes it easier for them to make the decision on the call because it doesn't seem as like this crazy commitment, even though I've never had them actually change it. I think it just kind of puts them at ease to know that if they wanted to change their mind, they can. And then we are going to follow up with the engagement letter and the document of expectations. So once they've decided which package they want to use, we have the engagement letter template. It's already been created and it's stored in Liscio. So if you store it in Liscio, then you can edit it for each client, which of course you'll want to do, right? You'll want to edit the name and information on it. You'll edit the pricing of the package. And then you can send it to them directly in Liscio and they can do their e-signature in Liscio. It's really great because now you don't have to have different software. You can do it in there. They're not emailing stuff back and forth. So it'll send the push notification to the client, letting them know, hey, your engagement letter and document of expectations is ready. They can open it on their app. They can sign it with their finger and send it back to you. It's all done. They can do it while they're, out in the field. They don't need to be in the office. So it makes it really easy for them. You can send that invoice over. You can have it paid on the spot through QuickBooks app or the Liscio app. I know they're developing invoicing inside of that too. So you really make it easy to just like start off. Onboarding is set. Like, let's get started. So to recap, the 5-step process was the consultation, where you have for me, it's a free 30-minute call. If it goes over, I don't usually cut people off, but letting them know that it's 30 minutes, again, sets the expectation. It's a free 30-minute call. You have 30 minutes of my attention. The interview, which is where you're going to have your communication conversation. Your assessment is where you're really comparing what you see to what they're saying. Again, making sure you're getting all those skeletons out of the closet. And then the proposal, you're going to let them know these are your options, choose one on the call, and then that's when the engagement begins. So we are at section 4, onboarding best practices. And while we have polling question number 4 up, I'm going to pop into this questions panel and answer some of your questions. There's a lot of them, so bear with me. What are the 5 questions you ask prospects? I assume you're talking about the pre-consultation email. It's usually things like, what industry are you in? What systems are you using? One thing I always want to know is, are your books up to date? I want to know, is this a cleanup job or a setup job or just a taking over from somebody else's clean books, but for whatever reason you don't want to work with them anymore? That's like my big question. And then the other one I want to know is, are they in QuickBooks? Because if they're not in QuickBooks or don't want to go into QuickBooks, I'm sure they're a great person, but I don't want to work with them. Someone said before the interview call, you mentioned something to give them an idea of what it will cost moving forward, such as depending on your business model. But yeah, I actually do that. So when they'll say, okay, what's the pricing about? I'll say something like, I typically don't, this is my range starting at quarterly clients. I've started about $950. Monthly clients, I don't take anyone less than 500, and it goes up from there. But that kind of gives them a gauge. Okay, this is totally out of my price range. And then they'll usually say, what would be something that makes it go up? Something that makes it go up, for example, if you're retail and you have inventory, that can make it go up. If you're using other systems that integrate into QuickBooks, that can make it go up. Payroll, that can make it go up. So then I list a few things that would make it go up. Yeah. I see the poll is closed, but I will do a few more questions after the poll. Christine, could you post the polling?
Absolutely. Yeah, so let me share the results. And there we go.
Perfect. So all of you guys that said other, drop it in the questions panel. I would love to know what else you use. Looks like a lot of you are using email message, WhatsApp, slap hands on you. We want to get away from that. It's One, because it's not secure. Two, it's not a good way to store. But we're going to talk more about later how Liscio can really make it so you're using less systems. And I think that's one of the things that I personally love about it is that, and I'll talk about this, that there's less logins. I hate all the logins. I'll drop one more question in before we move on because there are like so many questions, which I love. Feel free to send me all the questions. I love answering your questions. Just pausing to read them. I'm trying to figure out which questions to ask so I don't get an oh, by the way, surprise later. Yes, Karen. So that's where the NCQ comes in. So I'm actually in the process of creating my NCQ. It will be for sale on my website. Most of the documents I sell on my website are from $15 to $25 that I've just created and I put out. It'll say for accountants or for accounting professionals. There are some on there already that just I love to share because people are always asking me, what do you say? What do you use? What do you do? So I'll send out a link after the webinar, probably tomorrow, because that's when I get your list of emails. That'll have links that you can look at because obviously I can't list all 100 of them right now. Okay, next slide, communication and document sharing. So like we said, email is not the answer. In 2020, the average email open rate dropped to 21%, guys. Not only is it not secure, the client probably isn't reading it, and a lot of the delay is because they're not getting to your emails. Like I personally have 14,000, no exaggeration, I have 14,000 unread emails. Like it's not even possible. So push notifications on their phone, just make it easy for them. Like they see it pops up, they know it's from you because nobody else is coming up in the app, Liscio. Security is key. They can upload their bank logins, they can upload their private information, their social security numbers, their W-9s, they can take a picture of it on their desk, upload it into Liscio. Nobody's sending social security numbers over email. I remember when the PPP came out, I had so many of my clients' banks asking for their social security number over email. And personally, I was appalled. I'm like, you work for a bank. Like, what are you doing? So yeah, you can centralize everything in one location, automate, delegate, tools and text. So like I was mentioning before, let's consolidate, right? Like before I was using T-Sheets and I'm still using T-Sheets, not getting rid of T-Sheets. T-Sheets is my diehard, I love it. But like I was using Receipt Bank, I'm switching to QBO Receipts. I was using Slack, now I can do all my conversation. I had to set up a separate Slack channel for each of my clients and invite them in and now I can just do all of that like in Liscio. I don't have to have an eSig software. I can do it in Liscio. So it's like, how can I give my clients less logins? Because I used to be, they would sign up with me and they'd have 6 logins. And my clients are like, geez Louise, Katie, you know? And that's not what we want, right? We want the QuickBooks login, the Liscio login. Like, be done with it. Another thing that I've seen people do is welcome videos that have been really onboarding game changers where they just say, you know, welcome to millennial accounting, and they talk about how excited they are to have their clients, whatever, and then they discuss or they list out this is our onboarding process. So first you're going to have, you know, this call, and then you're going to have the interview, and then you're going to have the assessment. So if instead of, I wouldn't say instead of, I would do it in additional personally, um, but create a welcome video and it kind of reiterates to the client, this is how we do things. This is our culture. And by reiterating that in the video, you can actually have those videos sit in Liscio. So when the client goes into Liscio, the video will pop up automatically. It's fantastic. And creating a client win, the whole point of, you know, consolidating is to make it easy for them. And by making it easy for them, you'll get the documents. Like how many of us are not being able to be efficient with our work because we don't have what we need. We get halfway through and we're like, oh my gosh, they forgot to give me this one reconciliation, bank statement, or they forgot to give me this one document. If you make it easy, hey, can you just take a picture of it and upload it? Like it's so much faster. And creating a culture, once your clients understand that there's a process and from day one, you're like, this is what we do, they follow it. But it's your job to teach them. For me, the best part of onboarding is to like set both of us, my client and me, up for success. So once I teach them, like, this is how Liscio works, this is what we do. When you want to communicate with me, you don't text me, you put a message in Liscio and it sends me a push notification. we know that it's so much harder to teach the client when they've already been taught. And so it's your job to teach them. It's your job to like drive the bus. You just tell them, get on the bus. I'm the driver. Don't let them drive the bus, because then you'll have this client driving you left and this client driving you right and this client's trying to go backwards. No, you're driving the bus. The clients, they get on the bus and then they take a seat. And so that's what we're doing here. We're creating a culture. So now I want to introduce you to a tool that I've been talking about this whole presentation. I'm so excited about because it's been such a game changer for my business. Not just for my onboarding process, but even for the ongoing relationship with my clients. So the client experience 2.0, it extends past onboarding. It's really an experience that you can offer your clients. It's a whole mindset plus the technology. It's the way that you think, it's the culture you create, plus the technology, the system that you use in order to increase client loyalty, increase client engagement, and to save you and your staff time as well. So I want you to like imagine or just close your eyes or whatever makes you feel comfortable. Imagine like your firm has everything that you need. You have everything you need to do your job. Your clients have uploaded everything into Liscio. You have it on time. You don't have to chase them. Your staff can all see the notes in one place. There's no going from email to Dropbox to Google Docs to Sheets to Slack to Asana. Like all the notes are in Liscio. All the documents are in Liscio. They're all tagged. Like you just have everything in one place, and your firm is growing and you have more time. So it sounds crazy, but it's actually possible. And they have done so many case studies that firms that have adopted it are reaping the rewards in terms of increased staff productivity, and their clients love it. My clients love it. One of my clients is like a tech guru from Costa Rica, and he was like, this is so great. Like, it's so secure. He was asking all these security questions, which I had no idea the answers to. So I immediately just sent them to Emily, my customer support girl at Liscio. And I was like, can you get answers to this? No joke, actually, in 24 hours, she had the answers, and I sent them back to him in Costa Rica, and he was like, wow, he was super impressed. And then they were able to put those statistics he was asking about, which are total tech lingo, I don't know them, at the bottom of their website. And so now anyone else who's kind of tech-minded and knows all the super techy things, they can go and they can see it. And I'm like, if he's impressed by it, I feel like anybody else will be impressed by it, because he is just the tech guru. But it just makes it so easy. Their customer service is impeccable. So really, it starts with the experience you offer your clients. If you can make it easy for them, the client experience 2.0 is based on the premise that if you make it easy for them to interact with you, they'll respond more quickly and all boats rise. And Liscio allows you to fit seamlessly and securely into your clients' lives while streamlining. The core technology at play here is Liscio. And what's great about it is that it's a mobile app. So they love to use it because it's on their phone, right? It's in their hands. They don't have to go back to the office. They don't have to go to the computer. And then as a firm, you're using the desktop app. So for you, you have it, yes, of course, on your phone, but you also have it on your computer. So it fits easily into their lives because it's on their phone in the field. It's easy for you to then see the document that they scanned. A lot of my clients, they send me pictures. Like they'll literally write their bank password on a sticky note, take a picture of it, and text it to me. That was the old process. And I'm like, okay, we can keep the sticky note method if that's like, your secure way of document storing. In my client in Texas, if that's your secure way of storing things, fine, keep your sticky note method. But if you could at least like upload that sticky note into Liscio instead of sending it to me via text message, that would be great. So she's actually loved that, the client. She's like, okay, I can keep my methods. But I want you to think about like your current process for sending documents securely. How are you sending your documents, and how quick is your turnaround time? Is the client getting you something same day? Is the client getting you what you need quickly, or is it a lot of like downloading, uploading, then creating an email, then sending it to your portal, then sending the client a link? You want to hope that the client actually sees your email and acts on it, and then they don't answer their emails, whatever. So with Liscio, you can be working on your favorite tax, your accounting software, any software, hit print, which creates a PDF. Instead of actually printing it, right, you can hit save to PDF. You can send that PDF by putting it in your Liscio, It sends it directly to the client's phone. They can open it on their phone because they got a push notification saying, oh, there's a new document there. You can literally text your clients their reports. Like you open your cookbook, save the PDF, drop the PDF in Liscio. And my client, she owns a store. Well, a lot of my clients own stores, they're retail. But they own a store and they're sitting there and they're like, oh, here comes my profit and loss report. You know, they never had to open their emails. They just open it with their fingerprint or Face ID. There's no more portals, guys. So Liscio gets clients. This is actual data from Liscio case studies. It gets the clients to respond 19 times faster than email with a median response of just 6 minutes because it's so easy for them. It doesn't have to interrupt their workflow. And there's no more data silos like your assistants. That's what I love about it too, is my assistants can go into the notes in Liscio and they can see everything that I've said about the client. Before we were using OneNote, which I love OneNote, but when I try to share it with my assistants, it was like the sharing wasn't work, or I'm typing, or they're typing, or then now we have 2 documents of the same OneNote. It was just a disaster. So firms move faster with Liscio. So really, we want to say goodbye to chasing clients' documents, resending documents you've already sent, sifting through all the emails, texts, messages, voicemails, data silos, and tech support. To learn more about Liscio, you can request a free demo at the number at the bottom of your screen or hit liscio.me. They also have a ton of information on YouTube, on the Liscio website itself. They have a ton of education. We do webinar, well, they do webinars that I'm obviously working with them. But you can call them, learn more about their case studies. And we're finally at our polling question number 5. Christine, if you could load that for us, and then I'll do some Q&A because there are just like days worth of questions in this questions panel.
Absolutely. All right, so we have launch poll question number 5. You should see that popping up on your screens now, and we'll keep this open for about a minute. Back to you, Katie.
Awesome, thank you. So while that's going, I'm going to start looking through the polling questions here. And also in answer to the polling question, it looks like so far, oh my gosh, I keep jumping. 40% of you say productivity and workflow. These are some other webinars that I've done. Finding remote clients, where to start, growing your practice in a remote world, become someone worth finding, remote work and client relations, 5 strategies for successful remote work, and how to set yourself up for success in a home office. Feel free to shoot me an email too with other topics you would love to see us do. With the year of the client, we are going to be doing a lot more webinars on just how we can continue to work with the client and create a seamless relationship with them through Liscio. But now I'm going to look at the poll.
All right, and we have just closed poll question 5, Katie, so I will share the results with you now. It should be up on your screen.
Perfect. Productivity and workflow, perfect. We have some of those in the works. Finding clients, finding remote clients, where to start is a great series. There were 3 of them. So keep your eyes out for that. So somebody said, will you feel comfortable sharing your 199 questions? Yes, they'll be on my website. At one point, do you sign an NDA prior to all of this? I don't do an NDA prior. I do the engagement letter, which happens at the end of the proposal call. How much do you charge for the interview, assessment, and proposal? So I have kind of a range here. They range from $250 to $350 is what I personally do. If they're a big company or I think that there's going to be a lot of work involved, I do $350. One of the things that I have learned is that friends and family, they want discounts, and I want to give them discounts, right? Like I want to help my friends and family, but I don't want to give them 20% off the life of our engagement, right? So one of the best and easiest ways that I find to make them feel like they're getting a discount, because they are and because they are close to my heart, is I will discount the interview, assessment, and proposal. So if either they're a super new company who doesn't really have very much, or they're a friend and family, I'll do it for like $250 usually. And then if they're just like a random person I don't know, or it looks like there's a lot of work, I'd charge $350. But I know some people that charge $500, so it really depends on what's comfortable for you. Somebody said, did you say that you send the proposal ahead of that call? No, proposals are given on the call. I do not send them ahead of time. Are your engagements annual timeframes, or do you do them month to month? Mine are month to month. They have to give 30 days notice if they want to cancel, but I do not put them in an engagement that has a time commitment on it because frankly, if they're not happy or if I'm not happy, I want us both to be able to walk away. I would rather have them leave than keep somebody in an engagement where they're not happy. And I've honestly, I've never had somebody just leave because they weren't happy, ever. Do prospective clients relay an issue for signing up with Liscio before they are a client of yours? So I only sign them up with Liscio once they've done the interview assessment and proposal. So at that point, they've already paid me. So they kind of are a client. A lot of people were saying that they use ShareFile as their portal. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get through all these. There's so many questions.
Hey, Katie, while you're reading the questions, I'm just going to jump in here and launch another poll. Okay, everyone, we have one more poll for you today. We would like to know if you would like more information about Liscio. All right, everyone, this is the final poll. We're going to give you about 15 seconds more. Okay, thank you everyone for your responses. We're going to close this poll down. Thank you, Katie. Back to you for more questions and answers.
Do you sell your new client questionnaire? Yes, I do. It's not on my website up yet. I'll try to have it up by the end of the week. Do you use the same process regardless if they are business or individuals, or do you only handle businesses? Lori, I only do businesses. Let me rephrase that. I only take businesses, but I have had some of my business clients ask me if I would take on their personal books. I don't do taxes. I do bookkeeping and consulting and training. So I'm not doing the taxes for either, but for people who I'm already doing their business, I do quite a few of their, we just put them in QuickBooks, their personal stuff, because they wanted to know what they were. Somebody said, I can imagine many prospects who aren't prepared to go through a multi-step process. They think they're making a call and deciding on that call whether or not they're engaging with you. How do you get them on board with your multi-step process? So typically how it works is on the consultation call, I say, this is how I do business. If you want to do that, great, let's go to the next step. If you don't want to do that, no problem. And I actually recommend other CPAs or people in Florida. I have no problem like sending them to somebody else. Like if somebody has a really big inventory project, I'll send them to Mario. If they have a really complex tax thing, I'll send them to Hector Garcia, who's like down the street from me, literally. So, I don't have any problem saying, I don't think that we're a good fit. So you can go to somebody else, but I find that most people that really want to actually sign up for accounting, they love the step process because it's clear and concise. I know exactly what's going to happen. The prospects who aren't on board with the multi-step process usually are looking for, I'm just looking for like a cheap bookkeeper, like an hourly something. And I don't want those clients. So if that turns them off, that doesn't bother me because I don't want to go on with them. So I hope that answered your question, Lee. What are the differentiators of the pricing, i.e. what qualifies a small or mid-size or large firm? One, their top and bottom line obviously has something to do with it. But like I said, for me, it's more of like the intricacy of the books. Like, is there inventory? Is there payroll? Is there sales tax? I look at how many bank accounts do they have. Are they commingling? For me, the easiest way, and I tell my clients this all the time, I'm like, the easiest way to make your accounting bill go up is to commingle, because then I constantly have to be going back and forth with you. Is this business or personal? Is this business or personal? Um, so that for me, if I hear that they're commingling, that will jack up the price because I don't like working with it, and it teaches them not to do it because then their price goes back down. Do your clients pay the monthly fee in advance? Yes, they do. I have them set up on, most of them are on auto draft. My really little guys, I let them pay the invoice as they have it because they don't always have all of that at the beginning of the month, the beginning of the quarter. I do monthly and quarterly. I don't take anybody that's year end only because I just don't want to. But yes, I do have them pay in advance. Did you have an attorney prep your template engagement letter or did you DIY? I got one from another accountant. My mom actually owns a firm that is, I don't even know how old her firm is now, like 33 years. So I used hers as a basis. And then when I got a lawyer not related to my business, I had him look over it and he recommended that I add a few clauses to it that weren't in it originally. Things about like using contractors, for example. He told me to add a clause for when you hire on Millennial County, you're hiring on Millennial County and our contractors. For example, my assistant is paid as a 1099 contractor. So I want to make sure that like my engagement letter is covering her being on the books too. So that was one of the big ones that like I definitely would say have somebody's eyes on it that kind of knows the legalities. I'm looking through the questions. Is Liscio just a document and email service, or is a task management software as well to track monthly tasks needing done for our clients? Allison, if you want to answer that one, she's on the call. She's from Liscio directly. I could answer it, but she'll answer it
Yeah,
better.
I'm happy to answer. Liscio has client task tracking and firm task tracking. And so what's really cool is you can assign tasks to your client, and you can also create tasks for staff and track your own tasks. So the answer is it's all of those things that you're listing there, as well as scanning and e-signature and unlimited document storage, and there's a whole pile of other things as well.
Thank you, Allison. I just saw my mom was on the call, which I actually didn't know. Your mom's firm is the same age you are because she started it when she went home to be pregnant with you. Thank you, Mom, for commenting. Somebody said, please explain how you charge for bookkeeping and how commingling is more. Commingling, I won't touch on that too much because it looks like we're almost at the end of time, David, but I do want to answer your question. I usually discover if somebody is commingling in the interview and assessment and proposal. So I won't necessarily tell them, hey, I'm charging you more because you're commingling. I'll just do that on the back end. In the assessment when I'm looking at, what is in their bank rec, what is in their bank statement, and what some of the stuff I see in their books, and I'm seeing charges on the bank statement that are not in the book. So when I'm asking the client, okay, what are these things? I'm saying, oh, that's my personal. Oh, that's my personal. Oh, that's my personal. In my head, I'm saying, okay, I know they're commingling. I'm going to charge them more. It's not necessarily a conversation, but I will tell them when we're having the proposal, one thing that we can do that will in general, because usually I'm quoting that for like a cleanup job. I can say one thing that will help your monthly ongoing fee be lower would be to not commingle anymore, because this is going to be the price for the cleanup that involves commingling, but go forward, they'll have a different price for their cleanup than they do for their monthly ongoing. So letting them know. And sometimes I'll do like the pricing of the cleanup, but I won't price the ongoing until the cleanup is done. So that's one way to kind of get around that. Okay, guys, looks like we're at the end of the time. I hope I answered all of your questions. And feel free to reach out if you have any more or to contact Liscio directly. They are absolutely fantastic. I've had so much fun with you today, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you, Katie, for a fantastic presentation as always and sharing your time and expertise with our members today. Loved seeing your mom comment. That was awesome. Hello, Carol. Hello. And I'm seeing other comments here from attendees saying this was a fantastic presentation. Great presentation. Thank you so much, Katie. I learned a lot. So awesome. Looks like everyone agrees this is a fantastic presentation. And as a reminder for our attendees, we're going to process your CPE credit as promised within 24 hours. You're also going to get an archive recording of this webinar and a copy of the handout so you can reference all the content you learned today. And we also want to hear from you. So we're going to send you a link to an evaluation form, and that's going to be in your inbox as well as your CPA Academy accounts. So make sure you fill that out with your comments and feedback and tell us how your experience was today. So thank you again to Katie, and thank you to Liscio for sponsoring today, and for Allison and Lindsay for staying on and helping to answer questions. And thank you to all of you for attending and engaging with us and sending in some great questions. Make sure you check out our calendar on cpaacademy.org for upcoming webinars, and we hope to see you again soon. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.